Hi, this is Lauren and welcome to another Whimsy Stamps video. Today I'm going to be sharing how I created this adorable scene using the Gnome Make a Scene Forest stamp set. There are so many amazing stamps in here and I'm going to share with you how I put together this scene starting with my blank A2 size background. I'm going to lay out the different clear stamps that I want to use on my card. So in the furthest of my background is this scene stamp where it has trees and kind of the outline of a couple hills. And then I'm going to use the two large tree stamps in this set. They have one stamp that has no left defined line and then one on the right that has no right defined line. And when I stamp these are going to go on the edge of my card, so it looks like my scene actually extends past what we're seeing here just on this A2 size. I also really liked that little stump and our gnome with the sweet little bird in his hand. I also pulled out the squirrel, and then I'm going to pull out a few of the kind of grass decor and a couple more of those mushrooms that have polka dots. I think those are just adorable little mushrooms. And I'm going to continue building my scene with the stamp so I know exactly what I need to stamp out. So I'm going to grab my Misty. I already have some white cardstock in there, and I'm going to take all of those stamps except for the hill with trees and place them so I can stamp them out in some alcohol marker friendly ink in black. And I'm going to also stamp my background pretty much where you see it here laid out on the A2 card. I'm just going to center it a bit and go ahead and stamp that in the same black ink. So here are my two stamped pieces. I'm going to work on my background. I don't have any masking paper, which I should really get, so I'm just using some post-it notes here to block out my trees. I am not the best at coloring backgrounds with alcohol markers, so I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide ink for my sky and the bottom part here of my hill, but I will be coloring in the trees using my alcohol markers. So I wanted to block those off with some post-it just so I can make sure I don't get blue any lower than I want it to. So I'm realizing now that that is still pretty thin, so I'm gathering a few more of my post-its and gonna hide more below my hill and trees so I can distress on blue. I am using tumbled glass for my sky, and I'm going to have it fade into salty ocean. So I'm just darkening up the edges here and blending it in with the tumbled glass. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to set those aside and pull off my post-its, not in the trees, but just these four here that were blocking the bottom part of my card. I'm going to grab four clean ones and block the other side now because I'm going to distress in green and I don't want it to interfere with my blue sky. So I am going to be using the colors Mowed Lawn, and then I will darken it up with Lucky Clover. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my lighter color of Mowed Lawn towards the top of my hill. My light source is at the top of the card. Even though I don't really have like a sun or anything shining, I'm going for the top of my card being the light source. So the lighter colors at the top, and then I am darkening up the bottom with my Lucky Clover Distress Oxide. So now I'm going to peel off those four again, and then I'm going to bring out my splatter box because I want to use my distress sprayer on this background to activate that oxide ink and just give some texture and splatter look to my card. So I went ahead and put it in my box, did a couple sprays, let that water work its magic, and then I have a towel where I pick up any excess water with the ink. And then I thought, you know what, I need something kind of shiny and shimmery on this card, so I'm going to bring out some liquid kind of shimmer ink. I guess not really ink, but my little ink bottle of liquid shimmer, and I'm just going to use a brush and flick that onto my background. I really like the shimmer it adds, and because it is a liquid, it will activate that oxide just a little bit to make some really nice pretty droplets of shine on our background. So here you can see that shine, and I'm going to go ahead and peel off those post-its now, revealing my trees. I'm going to be using Spectrum Noir's Illustrator markers to do my coloring for my images. I'm not going to share how I colored everything, just the trees, because this video would be kind of long and I wanted to share with you more on how to create a scene than coloring. So I am just going to do a lot of my coloring with only 2 tones, maybe 3, between a light, medium, and dark, and coloring in the trees here in the background, as well as all of my critters, my trees for my foreground, and the mushrooms. Everything is just using alcohol markers. And as you saw, my image doesn't extend all the way to the end, so I am just using some greens for my markers to color in kind of a bushy look to the left and then another hill on the right. So I'm just going to be filling that in. It won't be very visible in the final card. There's just a little spot on the left where you'll see a bit of the bushes or the hill behind, and then just wanting to color in this hill on the right so that way it's all flush and looks good all together when the scene is put together and not some weird white spots where there should be green. So now that that's done, I'm going to bring out my other paper, and like I said, I've colored them in with my alcohol markers, and then I went ahead and fussy cut them all out. I cut actually on the black lines this time and thought that it would look really nice on the background scene because the trees and the hills in the background don't have a white outline. So that's why I cut my critters and my gnome and my trees and everything on the black stamped line. So now I'm going to use just a Sharpie, a thin Sharpie here in black to draw those extra lines on the left because, like I said, they are a little visible in between my trees. So just wanting to keep my image consistent. I went ahead and glued on the trees to the left and right directly to my background, and now I'm playing with my scene again, just trying to get my critters and everything in the right spot. I decided to move my gnome to the top of the tree stump, and now I'm going to work on popping up all the rest of these images. So starting with my little mushroom on the left, I'm just using some foam squares. I'm going to pop that down, and then I'm going to work on my gnome and glue him directly to the tree stump, and then use some foam circles to pop him up onto my background in between the 2 trees, making sure to leave some room for that cute little squirrel. I'm going to glue some of the grass down directly to the tree stump, so just using my wet glue to adhere those pieces on the right and then another one on the left just to give the stump more of a look like it's sitting in the grass here on this bottom of the hill in the little forest. I'm going to pop up my squirrel, so I have some foam adhesive behind him, and he is now placed to the left of the gnome. And then I have one more little mushroom that I'm just going to adhere down to the right. And there I have my final scene put together, but we need to get this onto a card base. So first I'm going to trim off the excess of those trees. I made sure to glue them down so they extended towards the sides and top of the card. And there was a little bit of white on my tree, so I just used a brown marker to clean that up. And I'm going to be using my Misty, and I have a top folding horizontal fold card, A2 sized. I'm going to be using my super sticky tape runner here to apply adhesive to the back of my scene. And then I'm also going to use my wet glue just to make sure that there is a nice adhesion to my card base and give me just a couple seconds of wiggle room in case I mess up putting this onto my card base in my Misty. So I'm sliding my card into that corner and then sliding my image into the corner and adhering it down to the card base. And there we have the final card. I just absolutely love how this scene came together. I just adore this stamp set, and I hope that you like it too. If you'd like to see everything I use, please check the description down below. If you liked this card tutorial, I hope you'll click the like button, and if you're new to my channel, I hope I've inspired you to subscribe and come back. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.